Rob, I am fresh back from WWDC, and I know the thing that people want to know about most is that I have a listener Debbie update.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
All right. So people, longtime listeners may know that my sister-in-law, Debbie, she listens to the show from time to time. And she lives out in the Bay Area, and I was at WWDC. So I got together with Debbie, and we caught up, and I understand she's behind on her episodes. So it may be a little bit before she gets caught up to this episode. I think Debbie, this is directly directed at you. Don't get behind again. This is important. This is an important show. That is the kind of entertainment that should be on your car stereo, no matter where you go, what kind of errands you have, or whomever else is in the car. You can just explain to them who we are and why it's important. Don't you think, Rob?
I would say that. I'd also say she's picked an excellent time to be behind because I've been ill and then you've been busy and
yes.
It's been a few weeks.
That's true. Our pace of shows definitely slowed down a little bit. Rob was not feeling too well right before WWDC. And he said, hey, why don't we do it the next week? I said, well, I'm going to be in California and I'm going to be kind of crazy busy. So we didn't do it last week. And now we are back for another Ruminate episode. So that's good. But yes, I wasn't in San Jose. I was in Mountain View myself and Cupertino, which is where Apple is. I stayed in Mountain View, went to the event in Cupertino. I got together in Mountain View with listener Debbie to have a nice meal at a place called Stein's Beer Garden, which I highly recommend. I also liked Eureka, which is a chain burger place in the South Bay area. Another nice place to go. Get a nice pint of beer and a burger. But in terms of the actual WWDC itself, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a very scaled down version. It was, in some respects, it's kind of weird. You go over to Apple's campus and you sit outside and you watch the thing that everybody's watching at home on a giant screen. Tim Cook and Craig Federighi came out right before the stream started and said hello and welcome to WWDC. There were some developer meetups, including one that I went to the day before the keynote. There were press events of different kinds that I went to. We recorded a live episode of App Stories with some Apple Design Award winners, which was kind of cool because Apple had set up a podcast studio in their developer center. The developer center itself is really fantastic, a really nice place for Apple to kind of interface with groups and individual developers. And the Apple Park, pretty nice place. Boy, I got to tell you, Rob, it's big. It feels like you're walking around the globe. There's like this slight curvature, and it's a little disorienting to be there at first because everything's glass and curved, and it's a little hard to tell where you're going. And we weren't inside so much,
Yeah, it's definitely a sort of spared no expense type venue.
Yeah, well, and the Cafe Max, it's like Cafe Max is the ceilings run kind of floor to ceiling of Apple Park. So very high ceilings and these giant massive glass doors that point to the outside of the ring. And they had those open. And so the seating for watching the keynote extended from inside Cafe Max all the way out onto a grassy area to the stage. So it was like one continuous thing that was semi-in and semi-outdoor. And we were seated in the press very towards the back, near the building, not in the building, but just outside the building. And when I first sat down, the sun was just beating on me. And I thought, oh, this is going to be bad. I'm going to be really hot, uncomfortable, sunburned. And fortunately, the massive building shaded me before too long. And it was actually quite comfortable. And the screen, despite the incredibly bright sunshine that day, was very easy to watch. So it's very pleasant being outside doing that. And then we went off to the Steve Jobs Theater, which is like a little hike on these paths up a hill, away from Apple Park on the outer part of the ring. And the theater itself is underground, but the first floor, they had set up tables and you could try out the new MacBook Airs, which, it's another lightweight, thin Apple laptop. It's very nice, and it's faster, and it's designed differently, and it's got MagSafe. But, I don't know. I think what was kind of cool about that was just kind of seeing, at least for me, because it was the first time I ever done it, got a chance to say hello to Phil Schiller, and then Tim Cook came in and was mobbed like a rock star. and Jaws was walking around, and MKBHD was there filming, and this is kind of a circus atmosphere, really, but a neat building.
Yeah, so do I need to keep an eye out for you in the background of the MKBHD video? Or have you already checked it?
I haven't actually checked. I don't think so. I don't know if I'm sure I'm in somebody's video, because that's one of the things that, you always hear about people, especially like press people in the hands-on area, complaining about the YouTubers. I totally get it now, because they come in with entourages where I'll be like the YouTuber, and then there's probably 4 or 5 other people with giant cameras, and they're trying to basically clear out the space of other people who are all also trying to check out these computers so that they can get their 5 minutes or whatever filming it. And that would be fine if there were 1 or 2 of them, but there's a ton of them in there. So it is a little disruptive, especially when people are trying to film in that chaotic atmosphere. But I mean, I was only there. I walked up to it, I picked it up to get a sense for its weight, kind of looked at it on the side, took a picture, and walked away. I mean, it was fine. I don't know if I'm going to buy one or not, Rob. Maybe I am. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I would like one, just because it looks nice. But I mean, you're kind of right. It's like, okay, it's an iteration of the MacBook Air. It's slightly different design. It has colors, which, I mean, thank God, just any colors. Just put colors in everything, please, Apple.
Right. I think while I would have liked to have seen bright candy colored colors like orange and pink and bright blue and green and all that stuff, they're still pretty good colors. I like the midnight one myself a lot. I think that's a cool color. I do think it's a significant upgrade, because not only is the M2 faster on a single threaded basis than the M1, and I guess multi-threaded basis than the base M1, but it handles up to 24 gigs of unified memory, which is an increase of 8 gigs. And it has a bigger screen. It's 13.6 inches diagonally, plus it's a better screen too. So those are true quality of life things. Oh, and of course MagSafe, which means if you're charging, you're not eating up one of your USB-C ports, which I think I definitely have felt the pain. I do have a MacBook, an M1 MacBook Air, and I have felt the frustration of recording and not having enough ports, and having MagSafe would be a big addition to that. So I've also I've run into the memory cap a couple of times, now and then. So it is definitely, I think, would probably be a better fit for what I do, but it's, it's an iterative release. It's not like a huge leap forward, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a pretty packed keynote. Like, there was a lot going on. Like, I saw
there was.
I dipped in and out because I was kind of watching it, but then we were. I don't think we had some friends around, or we were babysitting. I can't really remember now, but I wasn't sort of paying full attention, and I thought I'd seen a lot of it, and then I check out articles afterwards. I see people chatting about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I missed all of this, and I feel like I didn't. I feel like I didn't miss a huge amount of the keynote, but like there was just so much packed in.
They said they spent a surprising amount of time on CarPlay, where they fully admitted that what they were showing off wasn't going to be announced in cars until late 2023, which was odd to me. I think it was more of a sales job to car manufacturers than anything else, because I really don't expect to see that crazy UI in anything for quite a while.
No, I mean, I would bet money on we're either not going to see it on anything that sort of an average person would buy.
Right.
And in reality, it's probably because didn't they do a Ferrari once that had like this iPad built into it or something? I'm sure that's the kind of thing we're going to see. Or they go, oh, we've partnered with Lamborghini, and like this one car just runs through CarPlay. And it's like, okay, that's great, but I don't have a spare £300,000-400,000 knocking about to buy one of these to try it out.
Right, and I think that's absolutely true, because when CarPlay debuted, it very much was a luxury car type of feature, and now it's trickled down to just about everything. But beyond that, I think it's one thing for car manufacturers to give up the infotainment screen in the car, and a whole nother one to give up the entire display, whether it's your gas gauge and your speedometer, or the controls for your air conditioning or heating. I think those parts of the keynote were more aspirational than they are a reality. But I guess we'll see. It's going to be at least 18 months before we know to what degree it was really vaporware. But there's a lot of neat stuff coming. I mean, I think the lock screen stuff on the iPhone is really nice. I'm running the beta on my phone, and I've already created a few of those and like them a lot of those lock screens, because you can put different wallpapers, you can tie them to focus modes, you can add widgets, which are kind of monochrome versions of what you see on the watch, for weather and I don't know, other things. I've actually started seeing my first developer betas with those already created, because they're based on the same tech as the watch complications. So I think a lot of third parties are going to adopt that. The stage manager thing on the iPad is really cool, and I'm reserving my judgment on the Mac because I have not installed Ventura yet. I got a lot going on right now, and I'm going to get it installed soon, but I'm trying to decide what machine to sacrifice, because it's always a hard. Last summer was easy because I had a loaner computer from Apple, but I don't have that right now, so I got to figure out which machine's going to get sacrificed.
Well, maybe if they're nice, they'll send you one of the MacBook Airs and you can stick it on that.
I hope so. You never know. I mean, that's not coming until next month, so it's possible that I might get one of those, but we'll have to see. They talked about gaming a lot in this keynote too.
Oh, don't. It's so embarrassing. I see it and I'm like, Apple, stop it. You're embarrassing yourself.
I know. I stuck my neck out a little bit and wrote about it on the site, because I was thinking, one of the things is I'm like firmly in the camp of Apple, this is cute, but you don't really know gaming. I'm firmly in that camp. On the other hand, from a technological standpoint, I think the pieces have never been there before like they are now. And by that I mean both the hardware itself, but also the fact that it's easier than ever to kind of target apps across platforms between the iPhone, iPad, and Mac, that even if the Mac is a relatively small segment of the market still, that developers, it may finally be worth it to game developers to target the Mac, because they can, without too much difficulty, bring along the iPhone, which has obviously got a lot more users. And so, and that coupled with the fact that, for instance, they showed off Resident Evil Village, which just came out last November. That's better than what they usually do with these game demos, which is like usually a game that's like 4 or 5 years old, right?
Yeah. And
so it's not a very old game. They did show off No Man's Sky, which is obviously an older game, although it's constantly being updated. I don't know. So I think there's potential there, but I still think I don't think, at least especially when you get to like the actual games themselves, I don't think anybody at Apple has really good taste in games. So that's why I don't think Apple Arcade has really taken off. So,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know who they have there. Like, I don't.
They have a lot of people from the games industry.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It never feels like. I mean, firstly, did it deserve all that? Even that sort of slot in WWDC, I'm not sure it needed to be there. But it is what it is. If they want to get excited about gaming, then great. And as you say, if it does come to these games are coming to like the iPhone and the iPad, that does make them way more accessible.
Right.
But you say Mac gaming, and you're sort of getting laughed out of the room at that point.
I know, and it's a big hurdle to get over. I do think that maybe this also ties in eventually to AR and some kind of headset, because Metal 3, I think, is part of that. And I do feel like if they're going to do AR, they've got to figure out some sort of game story there and have somebody who actually knows how to make those kind of games make them, because they're not going to make. I don't think Apple's going to make those games. So I think that's why gaming is being pushed so hard. But I guess it remains to be seen. But especially if it's like the Air, once the Air is pushing forward and getting more powerful all the time, you have to kind of target to the lowest common denominator, and that lowest common denominator is pretty fast now. So I don't know. I'm slightly optimistic, and I'm keeping my eye on it, because I always feel like it's really easy to kind of buy into the conventional wisdom on this kind of stuff, and a lot of times makes sense and it's right. But every now and then you get surprised and there's a shift and something changes that allows something new. and I'm not sure if we're there yet, but I'm kind of keeping an eye out for the signs. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's been a lot of game stuff.
There has been
sort of 2 weeks. The big one that caught my eye is the Last of Us Part 1 is now its name. Remastered for PS5, because it's sort of like double remastered, because it's already been remastered for the PS4.
Yes.
And now we're getting a PS5.
Call it reimagined, because they've completely redone the graphics, right? They've to modern standards. They've still got all the same. All the voice acting is the same. The game is the same, but it is a huge leap forward from the PS3 art assets, and still a pretty good update from the PS4 remaster. So that I guess it's of the standard of what came out with Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they sort of... We haven't really seen any gameplay yet. We've only seen cutscenes. They've sort of hinted that the gameplay has been improved. And I don't know if that means sort of bringing over the mechanics of like the guns and weapons and stuff from the second one. But that would be my assumption.
That was my sort of sense too, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm hoping that's the case. I mean, I've played this game twice. I think both on PS4, actually. I'm still buying it. I'm buying the PS5 version. I don't care. I'm doing it anyway.
You're going to get the steelbook and all the whole 9 yards. I think I saw that announced somewhere.
I have some thoughts on that. Firstly,
yeah.
No, because it's US only.
Is it really?
Yeah, as far as I can tell, it's US only. The one place in the UK that would have it, because they get all the special editions, they don't have it for pre-order.
Huh.
So I think it's just US only, which is really annoying because I was ready to buy that.
Yeah.
And I wanted the reprints of the comics. Like, I do have the comic, like the graphic novel, but I wanted those reprints that they've done because those look really good. But yeah, it appears to be US only, and it's completely sold out.
Wow.
So I was not happy about that. Otherwise, I would have been ordering that, definitely.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Well, yeah, I'm going to be getting it because I've actually never played Last of Us. I've watched my kids play it, but I've never actually played the game. I'm familiar with it though, so I'll pick it up and play it when it comes out. I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to play it in the highest fidelity that I can.
Oh yeah, I mean, you are in for a treat to be able to play this PS5 version as the first version you play. I mean, I remember playing the PS4 version and I was like, oh, this looks, it looked good. It really did look good. Mm-hmm. But to see it, what it looks like on the PS5, I mean, you really have picked the perfect time to play it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. I watched the Summer Game Fest, I guess it was last Thursday. Some interesting stuff there. Watched the Microsoft Bethesda thing over the weekend, and basically, they announced something like 30 games, and they're all coming to Game Pass, which is pretty cool. But the biggest announcements are going to be 2023 games, it looked like.
Yeah, that's definitely what it looks like. I feel like, I mean, we've allegedly got God of War coming this year already.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah, which, I mean, they haven't confirmed a date yet, right? Is that...
I don't think a firm date. I think it's just later this year type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's... I mean, we sort of said this before recording, but like there was a lot of stuff announced that I really haven't caught up on a lot of this. And, there's a video that Digital Foundry did on The Last of Us, which I still need to watch. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah, there is. With E3 gone, there's every company is kind of doing their own thing. There was a Devolver Digital stream. There was something from Capcom. There was something from Steam, and those three I did not watch. So even though I watched two of the biggest things, I feel like I'm still behind on figuring out exactly what's been announced. So yeah, it's absolutely a lot. And Summer Game Fest is going to be in person next year. They kind of drove the nail into E3's coffin. By they've basically been competing with E3 during the pandemic, and now the Summer Game Fest is going to go online and in person next year. And I think that it was Summer Game Fest has been kind of uneven, I think, over the last few years, but I thought this one was actually pretty good the way it was done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of interesting to sort of see E3 like disappear essentially. because, as you say, all of the big publishers, the the studios, the console makers, they all just go, oh, well, we can just kind of do our own thing. They can do it on their own terms. They can, Sony especially seem to just sort of time theirs completely out of sync with anybody else. They're just like, yeah, we're doing one this week. And a bit like the way Apple do things, it's like, no, we're doing an event now, and you will pay attention because this is when we're doing it.
Right.
They don't. Apple doesn't wait until everybody else is doing a conference or an announcement. Like, they just do it when they want to do it. And it's like, yeah, this kind of works. Like, as you say, it's kind of hard to keep up with it all because you've got all these different publishers and game studios, like, all doing their own thing. But, it's kind of fine. You don't need to see every single trailer for every game because, let's be honest, like, half of them aren't even going to come out.
Right. And the thing is, I think you're overall, for most of them, except for the really biggest ones, you're better off just kind of following along in Polygon or something like that and picking and choosing the trailers that you watch based on what their articles say. That's kind of what I've been doing.
Oh, that's absolutely. I do that pretty much every time because one of the problems is a lot of these sort of happen afternoon or evening, sort of your time, which obviously pushes that late into either into the evening or into the night for me. So I'm not going to stay up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning just to watch a stream. So I generally just come to it in the morning, as you say, find the article that just links all the trailers, because it doesn't matter which one I watch. I'm going to end up watching some trailer for Call of Duty or FIFA, or it's just stuff I'm not interested in.
Right.
Whereas if I skip the streams, I can just watch the 3 or 4 trailers that there usually is that I actually want to watch.
The one that is coming out soon is Stray by Annapurna. From Annapurna is publishing it, and I got all the dates mixed up in my head. I think it's earlier mid-July, something like that. That game looks pretty cool.
Yeah, this is the cat one, isn't it?
It is, backpack. And it's still not super clear what the game's all about, other than it looks kind of like a stealth mode game where you're a cat investigating something, in a kind of a dystopian future world or something. But
is this like Untitled Cat Game? Is that?
Yeah, and I don't know. It looks kind of neat. I think I'm going to wait to see what the reviews say, since so little about the actual gameplay has been written about. But it looks like it has potential.
Yeah, definitely. It's one I've been keeping an eye on. Like you say, we haven't really seen, we get to see the cute cat running around with his little backpack, jumping around, doing some stuff. But like you say, I haven't a clue what this game is about. It's definitely one of those ones that you need to grab a review. I mean, by all means, if you want to pre-order it, that's your prerogative. But I'll be waiting for a review, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. I think my takeaway from a lot of this is there are some neat indie games coming the rest of this year. A lot of the really big blockbuster titles are still going to be next year, not this year. But overall, I think there's going to be plenty of games to play. Yeah,
definitely. It's there's certainly. I feel like the longer it goes on, the less none of us are short on games to play. They could probably stop making games now, and I'd still find stuff to play for the next 10 years.
Oh, me too. Me too. I could just go back to the back catalog and I kind of feel bad almost playing those games. Like I was playing the Tomb Raider again, the definitive edition one, and I was playing the original one. And I don't know, I just like that game a lot, so I went back to it. It's been like years since I played, so I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm just going to play that game, kind of finish it, and then move on to something else.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, maybe we can get the game industry to do that. Just take a year's break. Me and John we can both catch up.
Catch up, yes.
Yeah, we still wouldn't catch up,
No, we wouldn't. We'd find something else to do. Replay games from the 90s or something.
The backlog just keeps going back and further.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up for this week. And I imagine there'll be some more things come out. Maybe you'll have a Ventura. Ventura, is that how they're saying it?
Yeah, I think either
installed.
Way. Yeah, I'll get that installed pretty soon. Maybe the next couple of days. But I'm more cautious with Mac OS than I am with iOS or iPad OS. On the other hand, I do have, if I put it on my Mac Studio, I've still got my M1 MacBook Air to fall back on if things don't work. The thing that really bugs me more than anything is that none of the Rogue Amoeba apps work with Ventura, so I will, at a minimum, be swapping back and forth for recording, which is a little bit of a hassle. I'd rather get on the new OS, and unless it's super buggy, just live in it 100% every day and not have the friction of moving back and forth. But I think there's going to be, at least, no matter what, there's going to be a little bit of that anyway. So I might as well just bite the bullet and actually get on one of these.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, Rogue Amoeba's not working, so that sort of cuts out recording.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff. But yeah, no, that should be fun. I'd be interested to hear what you think once you've got it installed.
All right, sounds good. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, I guess.
Yeah, speak to you soon.